Hello, this is just a testing for this Google Hangout that will start in 2 minutes. I just wanted to make sure that and so I hope that those of you who had expressed interest in being part of this conversation today are getting comfortable and are sitting down. Good evening and welcome to this time and space. My name is Anil Ashton. I am the founder of the School of Inspired Leadership and now also the founder of the School of Business Design. The School of Business Design and School of Inspired Leadership are two entities that I'm particularly very pleased to represent. I often describe myself as the chief servant of this whole movement called soil. And what I learned early in my life is that if you care for something deeply and if you serve that cause with all your heart, leadership happens to you. So I believe the world's best leaders are the world's best followers. They only need to listen carefully, deep inside their own hearts. And they need to pay attention to the question that what do they deeply care for? What would they like to see in the world of tomorrow? And how can they leverage their own strengths and their own values to take responsibility for their own dreams? So for me, this whole journey of soil has been an exhilarating journey. And it has been particularly delightful to be given this opportunity to serve this cause. So the soil experiment started 10 years back because some of us came together and were asking ourselves the question that what is the impact of business in the world of today? We realized that most of us spend more time in our workplaces than at home. Either we are working or we are traveling to work or thinking about work even when we are not at the workplace. So, work is the most profound force in our lives. First part of our life is to prepare ourselves for work. The second part of our lives is to work, and that lasts for a very long time. So, workplaces have a profound impact on defining the culture of society. In fact, a whole community and a country is defined by the nature of workplaces. If people feel a sense of community at the workplace, if they build a culture in which they help each other to excel, if they produce goods and services which satisfy the needs of customers in a way that is making their lives better. And if the way they fulfill these needs is based on sound ethical values, if they take responsibility for the way they use the natural resources of the planet, if while working together they honor each other's uniqueness and leverage each other's strength, then they are truly making their lives richer and happier. They're creating workplaces which are more nourishing. They go back to home and spread the same positive abundance at home, and the entire country can lift itself out of mediocrity. About instead of complaining about what is wrong with the country, people can begin to take responsibility of how to make this country a truly great. So this is the philosophy behind creating the School of Inspired Leadership. We said we should take responsibility for the way we live now. We should light a candle instead of cursing the darkness. We started and thinking about very deeply. How do you prepare those who are doing management education for these kinds of workplaces? Because we realized that a large number of senior management in a company which has a disproportionate impact on building culture of those companies, they are the ones who pass out of management school. And therefore, the kind of management education has a profound impact on their behavior, which in turn has a disproportionate impact on the culture of the organizations, which leads to defining the culture of the society or indeed the country. So then we began to ask ourselves the question, if we were to design a completely new management education program, this was 10 years back, what should its features be? So we said first, we should select students through an alternate method of selection rather than the traditional system of CAT, GMAT, interviews, and taking those who were extremely analytical, and yet we were not looking at other dimensions of intelligence, such as did they have the creative intelligence? Did they have the emotional intelligence? Were they truly inspired by certain dreams which they wanted to take responsibility for? So we said selection system should honor multiple intelligence. There are those whose they never have taken the CAT or GMAT. Did Mahatma Gandhi ever do that? Did Nelson Mandela ever do that? Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, so many leaders. I'm sure if they had taken the so-called GMAT or CAT, maybe they would have flunked. Yet they were outstanding leaders. So we said we should recognize leadership in other ways rather than through this limited test. And we said then the entire curriculum should help in nurturing the right values in them. See, parents do a good job of raising us. If you are fortunate to receive role models in life which are positive, then we have the values. How do you build upon the values in the workplace? So we chose the whole inspired leadership model. We chose the 5 pillars of mindfulness so that people learn to pay complete attention. We designed a curriculum based on that. So we said yoga and meditation is part of that. Then we said ethics is very important because that helps us to make decisions which are to serve the well-being of all stakeholders. And we said in our curriculum, we will use theater to simulate role plays and conditions in which people can explore value dilemmas within them so they learn to take more ethical decisions. Then we said compassion is the key to people really building a sense of abundance and community and connection with each other so they can help each other to win. And we said we will teach compassion through social innovation. So one day in a week, people will work with NGOs. Then we said diversity is important. So we should make every student aware of the strength of other people and make them work in teams and learn to leverage each other's strengths, which is diversity. And finally, we said While doing all this, our students should honor the utilization of Earth's resources in a responsible way so they balance today with tomorrow. Really learn to operate in ways which can create more value by using less resources for the benefit of more people. We call that sustainable. All this was part of character. And then we said, on top of that, we must teach them holistic thinking, which we call whole system thinking. We said they should learn to connect all the management disciplines like strategy, finance, marketing, operations, HR, technology. They should combine all this into thinking holistically so they should take the right decisions. This we called as competence. And finally, we said we should develop leaders who have the enthusiasm to not get impacted by challenges and failures and fears, but they must honor their own strengths. They must honor their own sense of calling and purpose in life and learn to leverage their own strengths towards their larger purpose of making the world better. And when they learn to do that, they would have sustained enthusiasm. So, last 10 years, we have built this reputation of developing young leaders who are truly exceptional in this respect. They are not like the cookie cutter MBAs which are churned out by management education. But these are unique individuals. A lot of them have taken responsibility for their dreams. Some of them have become social entrepreneurs. Some have become entrepreneurs, and many are excelling in leadership roles all over the world. Having seen the success of this 1 year program over the last 10 years, we decided now we should deepen this conversation of inspired leadership towards its evolution and take cognizance of the new world which had developed in the last 10 years. If you see what's happened in the last 10 years, you will see that there are enormous changes in technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning. On one hand, these advancements are causing exciting new changes. On the other hand, the usage of big data and analytics is resulting in designing completely new products and services. We are also noticing that this exciting field of design thinking that started in Stanford many years back had caught the imagination of everybody because people were saying, if you really observe and listen with mindfulness to customers, to employees, to other stakeholders, you will learn about some of their unmet needs in new ways. And you will inspire yourself because you feel the sense of empathy for them. You will inspire yourself to come out with new creative ideas. And then you will make those ideas feasible and you will learn to scale them up to benefit society. So this whole exciting field of design thinking. And we said that the role of management education, which was in the world which is becoming much more digital, this combination of, on one hand, big data and analytics, with all the advancements in technology and digital, and in the whole space of that, the new approach to designing new products and services which make the lives of people better, lives of employees richer. This systematic approach to innovation, human centered innovation, which comes from design thinking, we said if you go deep into design thinking, the first have to really spend a lot of time in understanding the context and understanding the way people are in their natural habitat. This understanding of observing people, listening to them, understanding their context, understanding their lives comes from liberal arts, social anthropology, psychology, philosophy, poetry, literature, performing arts. These are things which invoke a completely different perspective in your life, which makes you observe with a fresh pair of eyes, makes you listen to what is otherwise not listened to by people. So we said there is a great importance of liberal arts in management education, a great importance to the subject of design and design thinking. And of course, the new management science, which is emphasizing digital transformation, big data and analytics. We need to create a symbiosis of these three different curriculum, liberal arts, design thinking, and management education of the future. And we should bring them together into an innovation journey. And so we decided that we will create a whole new campus. Before we created this campus, we started in our existing 1 year program, we started experimenting with boot camps on design thinking, whole system. And we started learning about how we can invoke this in our students. We started using this design thinking approach with large company. We helped in world's biggest telecom infrastructure company to use design thinking to make a new 5 year business plan, which, by the way, has produced absolutely amazing results. We worked with one of India's most admired automotive companies to use design thinking in their leadership team to think out of the box in developing new products and services for that company. So after these experiments, and after last 2 years of holding a series of workshops involving industry, we have come out with a remarkable new curriculum. In fact, the story of the curriculum design is very interesting. After doing a lots of conversations in different parts of the country and the world, we held a 6 day intense curriculum design workshop using design thinking. And several leaders of Indian industry participated along with educators. We even invited a couple of teachers from high schools, people like Shiv Nadar School and Heritage School, some of the leading schools of the country. We had the chief learning officer of Aditya Birla Group, Ajay Soni, who was there for all the 6 days, and several other leaders. So with their help, we have designed this amazing new curriculum, which is absolutely fascinating. And in fact, we are as excited about it as many of the leaders themselves were as the cook. We also went into the market, and this idea came from Mr. Muthuraman, the former head of Tata Steel, and who chairs our advisory board. Mr. Muthuraman said, what would happen if we were to go and talk to the senior most leaders in these big companies which are preparing for the future and listen to them as to how are they preparing those companies, and talk to them about what would be their response to this new curriculum that we have been developing. So Mr. Muthuraman was very kind. He and I went. We met the senior leaders of Wipro, Infosys. We met Dr. Devi Shetty of Narayana Ridale, met Dr. Pawan Goenka in Mahindra's, and several other such people. And out of these conversations, we listened deeply to how these organizations are preparing for the future. For example, Infosys said to us they are working with the Rhodes School of Design in developing 600 leaders of Infosys on design capability for the future. We learned that Wipro is hiring liberal arts graduates along with their technology people to understand customer requirements. We heard from Dr. Devi Shetty that artificial intelligence and robotics are helping them to do diagnosis much better, and he wanted doctors to develop a sense of empathy and a sense of friendliness towards technology so that they could embrace these tools to be more patient-centric. We heard from Dr. Pawan Goenka as to how they're doing experiments on innovation in Mahindra, where they are using the principle of design to observe their changing needs of customers, and out of which, for example, they introduced this new electric bike that they launched first in California, and so on and so forth. We heard from Bosch, from Shomitra, who is the MD of Bosch in India, as to how they were creating an innovation engine out of their own understanding of preparing the workforce of tomorrow. So all this background work has been done in the last 2 years by us. It has been one of the most exciting and intense curriculum design exercises to prepare the thoughtware behind this new program that we are about to launch in July. So that this is my opening comments to you, and I'll just take a pause and say, um, are there people amongst you who would like to ask questions so that I could respond to those before I share the next part of my presentation? Okay, I'm sure there may be people who may have questions as we continue this. There are three questions that I would like to address. The first question: what is the difference between the School of Business Design and the well-known MBA programs, the two-year programs that other schools offer? First of all, most of the top business schools in the country are focusing on business excellence. They are developing problem-solving capability in their students. They are giving them the global exposure. They are giving them projects, and they are building analytical capability for effective problem solving along with a global perspective. Soil also does that. But we are doing it in very unusual ways. For example, let's look at how the program design is. We are visualizing that students will work in teams 1 day in a week on a live innovation project. For example, the first part would be to work with an organization and understand their context. The second part would be to really, based on that understanding, come out with, through their observation and listening, come out with a sense of empathy about what is it that they are observing about the stakeholders in that organization. What are those people saying? What are they doing? What are they feeling? What are they speaking with? Followed by conscious attempt to think differently. Thinking, speaking, feeling. By putting it together, we call that an empathy map. And when they learn to do this, they will observe these four dimensions, and when they would process that from within their own heart, the whole subject of design that we will expose them will give them an opportunity to then say, how can we serve these needs? Through empathy. Then, as they work, they're receiving inputs on liberal arts, design thinking, management education, they're beginning to understand the next part. How do they now convert what they have learned into creative ideas by serving the community? As they begin to understand that and come out with creative ideas, they would go on an immersion into understanding India better through a train journey, appreciating the diversity in India and Indian culture, observing these wonderful things that are happening in India and different parts of the country in which the culture is helping people to innovate and do fascinating things rooted in the Indian culture. When they come back, they would have enriched their perspective. Now these creative ideas will begin to get translated into some new service or new features or products that they are working on in the organization. And as they are learning more about that, they will go into a rural immersion. We'll take them, for example, to this beautiful experience in the Kangra Valley in Himachal Pradesh, where they would go and see how at grassroots level innovation is taking place through self-help groups, women's empowerment. There, the entire district of Kangra is getting transformed. They'll come back empowered with fascinating new insights. Now their innovation journey will help them to make the innovation in the context of the organizations in which they are serving richer and better. As they are getting ready for that, they'll go on their internship to work in a corporation, which could be a big company, a global company, or a startup. When they return, they would have learned some practical dimensions of how well organized and also the growing startups, how they are taking responsibility for new things in their own organization. This will help them to then really understand how to take their ideas which they had been working on to their own organization where they are working on, and really then come out with new insights about the way that those companies are being run, the way they were working on new products, new services, improving existing services. This will then take their work deeper into that organization. They will then go for a global immersion. We are partnering with Shizuoka University in Japan, which has been founded by Dr. Tomo Noda of Harvard Business School and all the top companies of Japan. I serve on their global board as well. Shizuoka University, the first innovation university in Japan for the world, complete English language teaching for a new master's program. These people that we are talking about, they will help us to organize the global journey and global immersion, for example, in Japan and China. Now students will come back with even richer perspective. Their work on innovation inside companies they are working with will go even deeper. And hopefully they will start implementing many of those ideas which they are having for the benefit of the community. And this whole innovation journey that they are part of for 2 years, with the immersion into discovering India, immersion into rural India, immersion global context, and internship. So you can see that 50% of the learning in School of Business Design will be outside the classroom. It's only 50% inside the classroom, and even inside the classroom, there will be lots of simulation, role plays, exercises, what we call anthropological learning, not just pedagogy, but anthropology, experiential learning. So the whole richness of the design of the learning journey is very powerful, which makes it possible for people to really not only remember what they learned, understand it, and apply the concepts they are learning. And so this is something which gives you a very deep understanding of how our program design is very different from a traditional management. The second question that is asked is that since it's a new program, how do we know how industry will support it? Well, the good news is that some of the best companies which have helped us to co-create soil, and many of them are very excited. In fact, this week on Friday the 17th and again on Friday the 24th, in our campus in Manesar, the beautiful new campus, we are hosting 2 conversations with senior leaders of industry along with an advisory board. In that whole day meeting, starting at 10 in the morning till 5 in the evening, every industry leader will present how they are preparing their organization for the future. And then they would talk about specifically their expectations from management graduates of tomorrow. And then they would respond to our curriculum and program design and get into smaller groups to say what specifically would they expect from the first cohort of School of Business Design, and how would they like to play a role in shaping the initiative, whether by giving projects or internships or recruitment. So that whole conversation will take place. And this is a remarkable part of soil, that everything that we do is co-created with the help of the best organizations that we serve. So, so the question on would industry like it, involve it, what will happen to a new student who invests in a new division of soil in a new program? What is the risk? I would say the risk is of an adventure. The risk is to do education which is truly transformational, which prepares you for tomorrow. And I think the best thing in this is that we have the support, countless blessings of the best companies, not just Indian, but global companies who are supporting us. So I have absolutely no doubt in our hearts that our products will be received extremely well. And the last 10 years of our journey has given us the confidence that this new journey we are taking as Soil 2.0 will receive unprecedented support. Then the third part, third question that is asked is, what about your faculty? So we already have exceptional faculty in the School of Inspired Leadership. We are getting in new faculty, and we have invited faculty from different parts of the world which are going to come in. And we are ready with some truly exceptional teachers, facilitators, and coaches. And we are looking forward to having all of them with us. The campus is already fully ready. We have also uh, tied up. There are 3 alternatives for our hostel facilities within 2 kilometers of the campus. We will also provide shuttle service. They're about to sign an agreement with one of the hostel providers sometime later this week. So that part will be taken care of. We will also make sure there is transportation because the hostel is just adjacent to the campus, not currently inside the campus. But we will make sure there is the sort of reliability of that. And I think in all respects now, the school is getting ready. So now I will take a pause here and ask, are there some additional questions beyond these three that you may have? Okay. Last three questions that I would like to build upon, which we have been frequently asked through this journey. What, in our assessment, is the whole concept of business design? What is the relevance of this concept in the future? I can only say one answer to this, that the world's best companies are putting a lot of attention to this area. Some people may call it design, some people may call it design thinking, some people call it business design. We like the term business design because this is the whole focus on human centered innovation. In very simple terms, if you learn to observe and listen so as to develop empathy in your hearts, that is the role of liberal arts. Two, if as a result of the empathy and caring you feel for stakeholders, consumers, employees, community, Mother Nature, then the whole idea of sourcing inspiration and creativity from within you, visualizing new features through interaction design, product design, service design, this is the whole field of design thinking. And lastly, when you get these creative ideas, to make them work, to implement solutions which are sustainable and which generate value for all over a long period of time. This is the role of management education. So, human-centered innovation has got creative and making it happen through execution management. That's how the three disciplines. The second question that is asked is, okay, if you think the top companies of the world are paying attention to this, what kind of roles would these students be prepared for? So my answer to that, all roles which management graduates are hired for, whether it's analyst, it's business developer, product manager, marketing manager, human resources facilitator, HR business partner, corporate finance manager. These are the normal roles that MBAs are hired for. So these roles, obviously, our product should be suitable for. But in all these roles, they will go with a fresh mindset and a fresh pair of eyes to enrich. In addition, there are new roles, not just roles like data scientists, which have been around for a few years, but for example, people who are digital transformation facilitator, innovation change maker, employee value proposition champion, organizational transformation facilitator. So many of these roles, which along with high tech provide high touch. So a lot of new roles are emerging in industry. And this program will also prepare people for those. Lastly, people always ask the question, how would the ROI on this program be? See, the return on investment when you're putting 2 years of your life into a fantastic new program, and let's say at the maximum you are in putting 16.5 lakhs, in which there is the hostel and food for 3 lakhs for 2 years. There is 1 year invested, 1 lakh invested in global immersion, and there's a 50,000 rupees security deposit. So therefore, the minimum, if you don't want to stay in a hostel, if you don't want to go for global immersion, you spend 12 lakhs. And what is the ROI? Therefore, people ask, what kind of compensation will I get in industry? And I would like to say that whatever you invest, you should be able to earn rather quickly. We would like to target roles in industry which pays similar to 12 lakhs. Would it be all jobs at 12 lakhs? I cannot say, because our existing program students who pass out through the 1 year program get about 10 lakhs. This 2 year program with a different curriculum hopefully will be better than that. And there are, of course, the normal specialization in a 2 year program, that in addition to these interdisciplinary curriculum, there will be the tracks of marketing, HR, finance, analytics, because those industry likes those specialization, electives, which we will give. But the distinguishing feature will be this interdisciplinary. So in terms of ROI terms, I'm very sure it will be providing one of the best value for money programs in the country. I have seen that happen in soil, that students who have some work experience join us with an average salary of 4 lakhs. Within 1 year, they get 10 lakhs. And helps them to get the ROI within 3 years. There, even if you are a fresher, because in the School of Business Design, we are willing to take absolute freshers who have this creative bent of mind, two people with up to 5 years of experience. I am very sure that the value for money they will get in this education will be one of the best in the country. We are very blessed that we have the support of outstanding founders, people like Mr. Arun Myra on the advisory board, who was chairman of Boston Consulting Group and a member of the Planning Commission. Dr. Indira Parekh, the former director of IIM Ahmedabad and the founder director of Flame University. Santosh Desai, the guru of brand management and marketing. Arun Arora, the CEO of Shroff Hospital, which is redefining eye care in the country. And Pratik Kumar, the president of Wipro and an outstanding leader. So many of these wonderful people, Dr. Harsh Mishra of Temple University, who also created an entrepreneurship institute in the country and was also served in MDI. So multiple people of this kind in advisory board, some outstanding faculty, both teaching inside soil and adjunct faculty from outside, are going to no doubt create something which is truly exceptional. So I'm very grateful for the support of this advisory board and this wonderful ecosystem of NGO partners that we work with, industry that we work with, etc., etc. So it's truly remarkable what has come out of soil so far. We're very excited about Soil 2.0. I want to thank each one of you who have joined this Google Hangout today and the ones who will watch this at their own leisure tomorrow. If you have any additional questions, please do reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much. I will now ask my colleagues through a phone call whether there's anything else they want me to do. Otherwise, I will stop the broadcast. I have given my inputs in the talk, and I think it has been recorded. Since there are no questions from anybody, I am then stopping the broadcast. Is it okay for me to stop the broadcast? Yeah, thank you, and I'll call you back in a minute.